Welcome to HAYAH podcast. I'm your host, Mariam, and today, in celebration of UAE Women's Day, we're spotlight the incredible women shaping the UAE insurance in the UAE. We're honored to have two leaders with us today, Hannah and Noemi, and Mina okay. صاحب. Okay. I was saying it in English. Okay.
Okay.
So, first up, Mina Sahib, the founder and the managing director of the Code Consultancy. Mina's journey in the insurance industry began in Toronto, Canada, and with the North America's largest personal lines insurer. She later moved to the Middle East, where she has worked with insurance brokers, startups, and solution providers across the region. Mina is also the co-founder of the Women Insurance Network in the MENA regions, a UAE-based initiative where she created a supportive space for female insurance professionals to connect and grow. Our second speaker is Hannah Noemi. We're joining her is Hannah Noemi, Head of Compliance and AML at HAYAH Insurance, based in Abu Dhabi. With a wealth of experience from her various roles at HAYAH Insurance, Hannah has established herself as a leading force in ensuring compliance and promoting integrity within the insurance sector. Today, we'll dive into the evolving landscape of the insurance industry in the UAE, exploring the unique challenges and the opportunities for women and how these two leaders are paving a way for future generations. So let's settle in and celebrate the achievements and the contribution that they have made. And let's get started. So the first question I wanted to ask both of you, we could start with Hannah and then moving on to Mina. But the first question comes into mind: what are the challenges and the opportunities we're facing today in the UAE, specifically in the industry, insurance industry?
Thank you very much, Mariam, for this introduction. And I'm happy to be here with you today to celebrate this achievement. So being a woman in the insurance industry in the UAE market, it was not planned for me or even was not thinking to be part of this sector, the insurance sector, as I have a background in the banking industry, where I start as a customer service with the customer engagement and having all these learn about all the products of the banking since I've been graduated from Skyline University as a student on business administration, international business major. So I was thinking, like, if I've been on this industry for some quite good time, is the time to explore a new market or a new sector. So it being I had the chance to be in an insurance. It was a little bit challenging in the beginning, like it's a new knowledge for me, but I would not say it was really that much challenging, because we had this initiative from the government to support the women to be in different sectors, and that started even from our education and institutions. Today we have a different institutions from with the different type of major that's available for the students. So when it comes to this market sector itself, there was also initiative from the government to have a percentage of women in the leadership positions. So the rules, I will say, it have been created for us. It's only our self-development or self-encourage to catch up these opportunities and to give ourselves a chance to participate on this sector. So I will say it is the challenge is still there, because this is a male domain by, I would say, historical, but changes is there also, and it is a growth opportunities for women.
Yeah, so challenges and opportunities. So I've worked with large teams, so I can speak a little bit about the challenges, maybe some of the some of my female employees may have had. Also, obviously, with the Women Insurance Network, I've been able to kind of learn a lot about what women are now kind of opening up about their challenges are. I'd say that whether you are in a managerial role or you're not in a managerial role, there are some consistent trends. I think generally it's the difficulty, the primary challenge is being probably less recognized or less acknowledged for your work. And sometimes, by the way, it's not intentional. So it's not like these organizations are intentionally excluding women. It's a bit of a subconscious. The female workforce in the UAE is approximately 40 to 50%. And I would argue that in the insurance industry is very, very close to that range. So we make up a very large segment of the insurance industry. And, the majority of those roles, however, are in non-managerial function. I think in the last couple of years, we've seen an improvement. We've started to see more promotions. Just actually in the last 6 months, I've seen 3 promotions with leading insurance companies in the UAE to C-level positions for women. So we are seeing that change, but considering that we are almost half of the workforce, we're still not seeing strong female layers of management in these organizations. So I think there is definitely a problem in recognition. And I can also speak, obviously because I'm organizing with the DIFC Insurance Association, the Women Insurance Network Conference. I go to a lot of industry events in the region, not just in the UAE, and I can tell you that I definitely see a lack of representation of women at these events. So whether it's intentional or not, it's definitely a challenge we're having. I think for a lot of women that are working in the insurance businesses, I think sometimes it's actually our challenge, where it is a feeling of intimidation or a feeling of, if you're invited to a meeting where the room is full of men, it can be intimidating to participate or to put your hand up. And sometimes, unfortunately, there is some behavior that doesn't really encourage women, like, interrupting the ideas or the discussions being happened or dismissing some of the women's ideas. I mean, this is something I've heard from many women in the market, right? And it's not unique to insurance. It is definitely an experience that women do have globally as well. But women, the opportunity there then is that, women have to kind of make the initiative, put your hand up, be vocal, don't be so scared, right? Reach out to champions around you in the business. I think you might find that the, people in the business that maybe you didn't think were champions are actually champions. I mean, we had a discussion about this very same situation where some women wanted to become part of initiatives and projects in the business, and they were often not selected. So I kind of came back at them and said, well, why don't you volunteer? They're not going to select me anyways. Well, how do you know that, right? If you don't try. So we have to put ourselves out there, right? That would definitely be an opportunity for women to start. And I know it's not easy, but if you don't throw yourself into something and learn off it, then it's going to be difficult, right? And I will just end it off by saying that, because it's important to also talk about the challenges because I came to the UAE insurance market, I came as a manager, so I came into management. I think my experience has been that you always have to establish your credibility just to even be there, right? So often you're not getting that initial respect in the room. You have to prove why you're there, why you're having the conversation, why you're on the project, so that becomes a little bit exhausting. However, the good part of this so the opportunity here is because you're constantly having these discussions, you end up actually being more prepared, more informed, more skilled actually to have these conversations. So you end up establishing your credibility and end up being maybe the smarter one in the room.
I mean, when you're talking about your initiative win, so that's a big large of your contribution to the insurance industry. If you can touch base about other kind of female contributions, I mean, you have been meeting a lot of female throughout your career in the insurance industry. Just touch base what other female UAE female insurers that have contributed, and we haven't been hearing about them.
The contributions of women in the insurance industry are equal to men, right? I mean, it's not more or less, I mean, that could be a whole other discussion, but honestly, equal contribution. I mean, we make up, especially the technical segment of the insurance business, claims, underwriting, compliance, so we are definitely part of, the insurance story. I think that, in terms of initiatives, I think WinMina is the first, to be honest with you, which is why it's gotten such a positive response from the market. So it's and that response is actually an indication that it's needed, right? So there's a need for it. There's a need for spaces where women can network, can communicate, can learn about each other. It's important for women, especially in a region and a culture where sometimes some women don't feel as comfortable being in mixed environments, and that's a reality, and we have to respect that. So we have to provide alternative places for women to be able to have these conversations.
Hannah, moving to you, I mean, one of the things that when I first joined, I got inspired by your story and your background. So you are a compliance and anti-money laundering manager or had at HAYAH. How did your education? I want you to talk about your education and skill set, which are essential to build for the insurance industry. So, for example, a lot of the time, people are scared to go specific industries because of them, like we said, it's a male dominance, or is it not as fun, kind of like now you can hear a lot of girls going to the aerospace industry, for example, because it's a bit of or AI technology. But when it comes to the traditional kind of backgrounds or traditional education, especially with the new Gen Z kind of students, so they're kind of very not keen to be moving to that industry. So tell us about how we can create this, keeping this industry very.
So insurance is not fun, is what you're trying to say?
I mean, we're trying to say a lot of
it's not fun. That's the truth.
Yes. So how can we? What are the skill set that needs, and what can we have? How can we track these the millennials to come into the insurance industry?
Well, Mariam, it is what Minna just said. Like, if you will not take yourself out of your comfortable zone in general, and if you will not put you try to be open to learn things, you will not gain more skills or educations. And also, yes, insurance is not fun.
But what, like, for you, as Hannah, what made you enter this market, or what made you enter this industry?
Okay, maybe for me, it's always seeking for changes.
Okay.
And knowledge. So I felt like in the time when I joined HAYAH, it's the time to move from a banking background and join a new sector. It was a little bit, when you say joining a sector, like it's not moving from one department to the other between the same organization. Also, you don't know what is the sector about. But it's very interested when you join the new sector to start differentiate between what you used to know, like about banking, and then joining the insurance sector. So about my background, in the time when I joined HAYAH as a compliance manager, then I've been promoted to the head of compliance and AML. At that time, I was having my bachelor degree. And at the same time, I was thinking like I should also start doing my master. I was a little bit not sure what should be my master about, what major should I select, which university. But after like 4 to 5 years in HAYAH, I become to know that compliance it is essential, it is mandatory, it is there is a requirement and need in the market in general and in the country. It was also there are a lot of changes in the regulator requirements, and also it was really very important for our business to be in compliance with the requirement of UAE regulation and other international agencies. So it was very clear for me that I need to do to finish my master on something related. So I did it on financial crime and anti-money laundering. Also, there is also skills that we need to work on, like the communications, being open for networking, as well as build up the knowledge on the insurance itself. Like there is a very advanced certificates in insurance, but we can go for a basic if it's not that much required to our role. But there is also opportunities like compliance risk. Also, actuarial, there is a need on them on the market. Maybe it's not very common for us as a country, but there could be some courses that help new graduate to enter the sector. Like if they will go for some certificates to have some skills,
Yeah.
that will help them to be in the insurance sector and to gain more information. And then by practice, of course, they will gain more knowledge and will be the opportunity to growth in professional life, work life.
So yeah, that's thank you, Mina. So from your perspective, you've been in
Very long time.
very long time, but
Without telling my age.
but you've been in Canada, in Toronto. So you had your beginning of your career there, and then you moved to MENA region. So you've already established your profile. So how did you actually enter to the insurance industry, and then coming when you came to the UAE, you've already built your profile as a female insurer?
You know, I don't know anybody who picked to work in insurance. I honestly don't. I mean, if you talk to anybody who is in the industry, they either fell into it or there was an opportunity. And that's what happened with me. I was a university graduate. I was actually a political science graduate, and I actually wanted to be a civil servant. I don't know why, but I really wanted to get into civil service. And the civil service exams had like an annual run round in Canada. And I graduated, and there was a position that was opening. And I thought, you know what, let me do this for a year, and then I can go back to the civil service exam the following year. And I applied. And they put me in a very intense training program, and I ended up doing the job. And over the course of the year, I really actually fell in love with it, right? I mean, it was, to me, insurance is, you know, I mean, I'm joking. I mean, it can be fun, but generally it's a little boring, right? So, but the thing with insurance is actually there is a social service aspect to insurance. And I started my career in claims. So I was working on property claims. So I would literally go out to homes that had been burnt to the ground. And I would be there, you know, day and night with my clients, right? Helping them, moving them into hotels, you know, getting the engineers and the rebuilding plans together. So to be part of that journey with your customer was really, it really impacted me a lot. And I really felt like this was a little bit more than just a job. Now, that being said, you know, to answer your questions, and I mean, Hannah really touched it, right? There's so many institutes out there right now that are providing courses. But I would also say, take advantage of the learning opportunities that you have in front of you at your job. Because actually, most of my learning, so I went through intensive courses and you know, obviously training programs. And to this day, I take courses. I mean, learning never stops, right? It never stops. But actually where I learned the most was on the job. And this is why I was saying a little earlier, it's so important for women to raise their hand if there's that new project you want to get involved in, even if you don't know anything. I mean, I have been on projects and initiatives where I was literally, Googling what I was doing after, because I actually didn't know. I got into digital transformation much later on in my career. It was a new field for me, right? I'm not never studied engineering or tech, but I had to learn it. And actually, when I got into these projects, it became a catalyst for me to keep learning more and more. And it's pretty amazing what you can learn. So the only skill set I would say anybody needs to progress or to advance in a role is to have a growth mindset. And what that is essentially to understand that your capabilities are never capped. So, just because Hannah is in compliance today and she has a wealth of experience, she could probably do something else tomorrow if she wanted to, right?
Sure.
Because we are just designed in a way where we can absorb and learn so much. So, and the same goes for me, right? Like I've never organized a conference before. Now I'm doing this, right? And I'm learning so much and I'm making mistakes. So definitely take advantage of the learning opportunities around you.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, education is continuous. It's
Always.
you're always learning. So if we move and shift, so after the education, starting your job, I mean, now with the industry has been moving and progressing. I mean, I feel like because we are already a progressive kind of a company, we can see a lot of in the industry as well. It's been progressive, and we've been seeing a lot of like work-life balance and a better culture as well. It's an improving culture in the insurance industry. If you can touch base, both of you. So if we talk about how the work-life balance, how the culture is in the insurance industry in general.
From my point of view, I will say it is positive. It supports a lot to have a work-life balance in my personal and even professional life. I will say, like, for example, there is a lot of companies, and also our company, they offer flexibility of working hours, working from home or working remotely. That actually give us more time to be more productive, to be more spending better timing or more time with our families, as well as build up somehow balance in even to finalizing your job task. Like working from home or even working from office, sometimes both of them sometimes have advantage and disadvantage. We all totally, of course, agree on that. But having that flexibility, it's helped a lot to give you better life, like be more, I would say, flexible on your way of working even. So if sometimes you feel you want to work today from work, you want to be engaged with your colleagues, having face-to-face interactions. The other day you would like to work from home, you need a quiet and silent mood to focus more on certain project. So I believe this time it also give us time for growth in our career, and also you have that extra hours where you do some e-learning, some your way of do researching to finalize your project, or even dive in new regulations or laws that has been recently established, and you want to spend more hours, to utilize it, or even do the analyst, so that then you can share this knowledge or this information with your colleagues in the office. So I believe it's a little bit positive to have this flexibility of work. And today we have a lot of this working flexibilities, which help a lot of us to, be more better, I would say, better mood actually to come to the work, and feel engaged on your day-to-day.
Have you seen a shift in between like 5 years ago and now with the culture and the or is it the same?
No, definitely. It's, like 5 years ago, we used to work in traditional mode. Like you need to be in the office on time, you need to leave on time.
COVID was a big
Yeah,
driver.
Yeah.
But today, now, of course, there is a big shift. Totally, we can see that and feel it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I think COVID was a big driver of change. But I would so Hannah is obviously you are both speaking from the HAYAH experience,
Yes.
right? HAYAH is a very young, progressive company.
Yeah.
Even your products are pretty progressive.
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say that is the experience of a lot of the market. I think the market still struggles to, to enable their employees to have some work-life balance. Again, it is about the boundaries you build, right, as an employee. If you're not getting it top down from your organization, I think sometimes we think it's hard to have these discussions, but I've often found, and I've been in situations where I was asked to work during the weekend or very late nights to get a deliverable done, and I would do it. But I also would have conversations on the side with my boss and say, listen, I can do this every now and then. I can't do it all the time. I have, yes, I may not have a family and children, but I still have a life. I still have my health, my strength, my peace, my home that I need to. So, I think there are shifts. They are slow. I think there's definitely more opportunity for more. I think what's going to be interesting is, now we have a whole new segment that is joining the workforce, right? And that's the, are you a Gen Z?
No.
Okay, sorry, but the Gen Zs. And I'm a big fan of the Gen Zs. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and many of them are Gen Zs, and they are brilliant. They are savvy. They are progressive. They are so resourceful, and they just have a smarter way of doing things. And that is a reality, right? I mean, when I'm with my nieces and nephews, if we just talk about something, all of a sudden they've found it on their phone and they've got the location and they know where to go. And I'm like, how did you do that so quickly? But this is their generation, right? They are exposed to user experiences and they have access. They've been having these experiences since they were children, right? So I think that's going to be very interesting because they are starting to join the workforce and already we're seeing a bit of disruption, right? Like I hear conversations like, oh, they're not willing to do this and they're not willing to do that. I think that's a positive thing because I think, when you have such a traditional industry like insurance, we're very resistant to change, right? We're very resistant to how we do things. So I think we're going to see more interesting shifts happen. And I think that's very exciting. I think we should be open to it. Obviously, they're not the easiest to manage, the Gen Zs. They can be a little demanding and obviously they're still very young and you still have to direct them. But I think whenever you have this kind of disruptive ripples in your business, I think it's a really positive thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like it's not a very fast changes, but it is coming up because we can see the government initiative on this. Like
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So still, it's not like that way before COVID.
Of course.
But things will get better and better also with the new generation, as you mentioned. So I think the traditional way of working 100% will be different on the upcoming even 5 years. So people sometimes not easy to shift or do the changes because sometimes it is personal resistance. It's not even the corporate, I would say.
Yeah.
It is even people of accepting things. But 100% the change is still it's not very quick, but it is coming up somehow.
At least it's moving, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be fast.
No, it's not.
It's shifting a little bit, I mean, I work from home, right?
Yes.
And honestly, yes, it's ideal in a lot of ways, right? But at the same time, it's actually not how humans are designed, right? Like we are social beings. And especially because I've always, on transformational projects, you're working collaboratively with a team. And I remember during COVID, I rolled out a very large project to a company of 400 employees. And it was, I was working all hours just to get this done, because your collaboration on teams, you don't know what that person is doing behind the camera, right? Or sometimes they turn it off. You don't know if they're fiddling on their phone, and you need to make sure people are engaged. So when you're in a room and you're with a team of people, there is definitely positivities there. So I think having that that balance of remote or hybrid working is probably the best way. But I think also work-life balance is also about having a culture in the business where people are not made to feel guilty for leaving on time, right? I mean, sometimes you do hear comments, right, where people will say, oh, you must be leaving early. Well, no, actually, I've put in my 9 hours. I'm been productive. I've been able to deliver when I need to deliver. So we have to change this mentality. And then you'll see some people that are in the office till 9 o'clock. This concept of always being busy does not necessarily mean that they are delivering more, right? And so this is where I was kind of bringing in the Gen Z aspect into it, because actually they know how to work smarter. And that's actually probably where we should look at them for inspiration.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, thank you both for your insights, and you're both empowering and paving the insurance industry. So I want to thank you, both of you, for joining us today. And if you have any other note or suggestion and feedback you want to share with the Jay-Z or the people who are interested in coming in the insurance industry, and specifically for UAE nationals, because we're talking about UAE Women's Day. So please, any
Well, actually, since you mentioned that, I think firstly, happy National UAE Women's Day to all of us.
Yes.
But I will actually just add one thing, because living in a country where it is by far the most safest country for women in the world. This is a huge benefactor when, for women that work in different in countries around the world, that's not a daily experience. Also, the initiatives that, when you have a system and a framework and a government that drives initiatives and regulations and laws to protect women and to include them in the workforce, you actually create those shifts naturally. They just start to happen. So we're really lucky to be in a country that support, and you see that in Emirati women like yourselves. You see that in their drive, and I will testament to this, that I've worked with a lot of Emirati women. I used to manage a lot of Emirati women. And their drive was just different, right? They really had this resilience and this drive to succeed, and they want to contribute to their nation and to their country and to the work. So I think that is a testament. So when you have a government supporting women on their initiatives, so we have to mirror that in the industry, right? So when you are a company and you are providing policies, development plans to support women in your company, it's going to happen naturally as well. So let's take a page of the book from the leaders of the UAE.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.